Welcome back. It's been a hectic few weeks at the Madison School District. This top spokesperson has come under fire for allegedly belittling and harassing colleagues and journalists, allegations which that spokesperson, Tim Lamons, has denied. Earlier this week, Naomi Cole sat down with the MMSD's interim superintendent, Lisa Kvistad, for her first public interview since taking on the role. Kvistad addressed those concerns and others.
You're coming into a role that can be tough, right? It's an interim role. You're on a year-long contract to help guide the district between Jenkins leaving, whoever they hire new. Yep. Let's talk first about your big priorities during this year.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you. You acknowledged all of the pieces of the role that are in place for me, right? A short-term assignment, really important assignment, though, and it's an important year as we move forward to bridge, as you said, Dr. Jenkins and the new full-time superintendent. So I'm really clear about my 4 priorities and have had great conversations with the Board of Education as they appointed me to the job to make sure they are also their priorities, because we are all connected in the work. So the first priority for me is always about students, student achievement, always about really thinking about high quality education and social and emotional supports for them. So that is my clear #1 focus for students and schools first. Great leaders, great teachers. My second priority is creating that stable foundation so that the board and the community can find the best possible superintendent for Madison. This is the community superintendent. So I want to do everything that I can to create a solid foundation, clear ways of working, effective communication. You're going to hear me talk about that a lot. So my third priority is just that. It's about strengthening our ways of communicating and the ways that we work and make decisions. I've heard from lots of people in my transition that they need more clarity in those areas. So I've been working in partnership with the board and with my new team to do some new level setting around that. And then my fourth priority is, right, this urgency and this need around hiring high quality staff, teachers, building leaders, school staff, and retaining those people in our district. Our students deserve the best teachers, our schools deserve the best staff, so that's another top priority for me as I start work with the district.
And I'm going to give you the opportunity to dive a little bit deeper into some of those priorities, but I think we have to start with the third one you mentioned, effective communication. It's no secret that the communications department in Madison School District has come under a lot of fire since the complaint was released against Tim Lamons. He's now on leave. I want to get into that in a second, but I think the overarching question here is the complaint our station has heard about the Madison District for, I would say, a couple of years now, is transparency. They can't get open records. They feel like some of those questions aren't getting answered during the pandemic, post-pandemic. You're in a difficult position here to answer to a tenure that was not yours, but what's your message to the community, first of all, about that transparency?
That is, as I said, a top priority. I can say since I have started in transitional work with the district, we have already made great gains in those areas. Those were my first meetings when I started. They are my last check-ins at the end of the day. I feel like we have really stabilized the system in terms of transparency and clarity around open records and how we're handling that. I feel as if we have really done some work around establishing what are these clear ways of communicating with each other. We know we have work to do around efficiency, around accuracy, and around how decisions are made. People need to know and understand that. I've heard that from people within the district as well.
Specifically, you mentioned you tackled this on your first day. You worked to implement changes since your first day, which was, we're taping this on a Tuesday, so that was just over a week ago. Did you have a hand in Tim Lamons, communications director, as far as I understand it right now, going on leave?
So, first of all, thank you for asking the question. There are confidentiality. There are issues of confidentiality around this, and thank you for respecting that. And I just want to reiterate the fact that we are working hard with the team to make sure that we are supporting them in the work moving forward. We're respecting the laws around confidentiality, and as things If things progress, as things progress, we will be sure that we share information as necessary.
Is there another active investigation ongoing in that?
Right now, again, thank you for respecting the confidentiality and our need to deal with this personnel matter.
A lot of things came out in the complaint, the internal complaint filed by fellow employees into Lamont's conduct over the last few years, both internally and externally to members of the press. I mean, do you feel that some of the statements he's alleged to have made represent the communications department now and what you envision going forward?
So we envision a communications department that is a strong team that are empowered to do their work, speaking on behalf of district leadership and the needs of students and families. We believe that all employees in Madison are entitled to a workplace that feels safe, that feels empowering, that feels supported. And that is part of our responsibility to, number one, pay attention to that, to number two, support people in their work. We've got great people in our communications department. I've always said, I said to my new staff, they're actually starting on board with me this week, good people need support too, right? They need the regular ways of working, the regular check-ins. So it is our expectation that our staff have that. And if it's not happening, we need to find a way to make that happen.
You mentioned one of your priorities is recruiting and retaining top-level staff. It was last summer where this was really not just in the local news, but national news, where just staffing levels for teachers just across the nation was at I want to say an all-time low. Where does staffing stand right now as we head into the summer, look forward into the 2023-2024 school year, and give me some more specifics about your plans for that.
Yeah, thank you for asking. We are actually moving towards being fully staffed in HR, our Human Resources Department. And we have less than half the number of vacancies right now than we had last year at this time. So I meet with HR regularly. We just hired a brand new senior executive director of HR. So you're probably hearing me talk about ways of working, systems and structures a lot. I've mentioned that a lot. I really believe that we have an obligation this year and an opportunity to strengthen the ways we work so that we can make high quality things happen in classrooms and in schools.
I want to talk about another issue that just in general is one that concerns a lot of parents in the district, and that's one of violence in schools, particularly the high schools in Madison. Yeah. You know, there's quite frequently, as a news outlet, we see headline after headline of there's been a fight, there's been this, there's been that. A little bit of a two-part question. I want to start with this. Do you have a position that you're willing to make publicly on police officers in schools?
So what I will say is I believe that if we have a well-articulated plan for school and student safety and the staff members to support that plan, every school should have a safety team. If we can do that with whatever staff necessary, then that's the direction we need to go. I believe that when the behavior education plan was created, and I still believe this, I was there when Dr. Cheatham put that together. I can remember those early meetings, right? And the intent of that plan was to give students at all levels what they need to succeed. Did we get it all right in the beginning? Probably not. Are there ways that we can make things better? Be it with our own school security officers, be it with our own school staff. I think there are ways we can be better about that. I think to go back to your question, your comment around communication and clarity, I think we can be clearer about that too. And I think that's part of the work short term that I can do.
Do you see any gaps immediately that you would want to address with those security and safety teams?
I think it's just, it's being transparent with those teams, right? Once those teams are formed and the plans are written, how do people know what's in them, right? It's about how are we as a staff in a high school, a middle school, an elementary school, even in central office, how are we communicating about what that means and what are the sort of spaces and places? Well, we're going to talk about that. Where are we going to talk about proactive strategies? If something does happen, how are we going to have an after-action review about that and learn so the next time we can do things better? So I think there are ways, to your point, we can be clearer in the work that we do, and that's a real expectation of mine, that we find the spaces and places to have those conversations and explicitly talk about that.
We've covered a lot of ground. Is there anything that you wish I'd asked that you'd like to address?
Thank you for that opportunity. I will just say that I am thankful and grateful for this position for the short term. I feel heartened, and I truly feel that my work thus far in transition has been in partnership with the Board of Education. I am really looking forward to working with them, working with you all. I am committed to MMSD and thankful that they asked me to come back, and will, when they find the permanent superintendent, I will be here to support whatever transition that might look like, and just am looking forward to a year where we get to do some rebuilding of trust, do more explicitly around transparency and clarity, and I'm just really happy to be supporting students first.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We had a lot to get to, and you can watch the full interview online at channel3000.com or on our News 3 YouTube page. When we return, it's been a year since the U.S. Supreme Court decision overturned Roe v. Wade and put Wisconsin's abortion ban back into effect. 1 year later, we're looking at what changes have taken place over the last year and what's on the horizon for abortion in Wisconsin.